again, folks. It happened again. Where I wanted to start tonight was saying you really shouldn't criticize the Red Sox over failing to sign Juan Soto. Like, let's not get stupid, all right? That's unfair to them. He was always going to be a Met. Steve Cohen was not going to be denied. Like, let's stop being ridiculous about the Juan Soto thing. This offseason is about pitching and how willing you are to get pitching. That was the show tonight. That was where we were starting, and we were going to jump off from there. Well, it turns out you didn't get the pitcher you wanted, and the pitcher I wanted, and the pitcher everybody should have wanted. Max Fried off the board to the New York Yankees. 8 years, $218 million. It's basically the David Price contract with one more year added on. And the Red Sox have struck out again. One of the first tweets came out from Bob Nightingale saying the Yankees got Fried, they have denied the Boston Red Sox, and I'm paraphrasing here. That's because all the reporting over the last few days indicated this was going to be a two-team race between the Red Sox and the Yankees. And in the end, the Red Sox were not willing to go far enough. Plain and simple, they weren't willing to do what it takes to get the player. I truly almost did believe this offseason that the Red Sox have shifted their mentality a little bit. That for the last 5 years, they haven't really wanted the Max Frieds of the world. And let's be honest, they have not wanted the Max Frieds of the world. They have not wanted the best players in baseball. I do think they've changed their mentality a little bit this offseason. I think they actually are legitimately interested in trying to bring in somebody like a Max Fried until push comes to shove and you have to pay or you have to extend yourself an extra year or two, and they're not willing to do that. So they can say they're interested all they want. And I do think they are more interested, and I'm using air quotes here, I do think they are more interested than they've been in years past. But what does it matter if you don't land the player? That's what it all comes down to. Do you want the guy or not? Do you want the player? Do you want to make your team better or not? Yes or no? Simple question. Because you're going to have to overpay. You have to get used to that. You have to get comfortable with that. And they're just not willing to go there. They're not willing to go there. Is it an overpay for Max Fried in terms of years? Yes, of course it is. Folks, that's how free agency works. That's how baseball works. You don't lose or you don't win contracts in baseball. You just don't. And they've spent the last 5 or 6 years with the obsession, the sickness. It is a sickness that the Red Sox can't seem to get rid of. It is a disease. We must win the contract. We need fair value on this. That's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. It's not going to happen if you want the best players in baseball. You have to overpay for past performance. You have to pay pitchers into their 30s, into their late 30s. You have to be willing to go to 41 years old on Juan Soto. You have to be willing to do these things. But the Soto thing is different because 26-year-olds don't hit free agency. And yes, of course, they were willing to go to $700 million. That's not what I want to focus on tonight. I want to focus on the pitching. I want to focus on everybody else. Red Sox wanted this guy. More importantly, they needed this guy. They desperately needed Max Fried. And they didn't get him because the Yankees were willing to go to 8 years. I guarantee you that's what it was. Just under an hour ago, you were getting reporting from folks in the national media, obviously doing the bidding of the agents. John Morosi had this on Max Fried less than an hour ago. He said Fried has at least one 7-year offer in hand as he nears a decision this week, source says. Then, 15 minutes later, he says, the Yankees are willing to make Max Fried a 7-year offer, source says. So what happened? You're negotiating through the media. You're getting out there. And I thought at the time this was a direct message to the Red Sox. You're getting beat. What are you willing to do? That's exactly what it was. Morosi's kind of known to do this. This is the guy who said that Shohei Ohtani was on a plane to Toronto last year. This is the same reporter who in July said the Red Sox had scratched Roman Anthony from a lineup in Double-A Portland. He's doing the bidding of an agent there. And he's saying, this is a shot at the Red Sox. You need to do something. You need to up your offer because somebody's beating you. And in the end, the Red Sox wouldn't match. So Max Fried goes to the Yankees. The Yankees get better. And you're still where you are. When will you ever learn that you have to be willing to pay in this sport? That you have to be willing to give out a bad contract to make your team better? It's a bad contract. It is. 8 years for Max Fried, who's already in his 30s, bad contract. Would you feel better, though, if the Red Sox gave him 8 years tonight? I would. And yeah, you say, listen, the final 3 years of this deal, it's probably going to suck. You might have to do something to get rid of him or just eat the cost, whatever. Yeah, you have to be willing to do that to compete. And the Red Sox aren't willing to do that to compete. It's as simple as it is, folks. It's as simple as it is. They're not willing to go there. And I think they want to go there. Like, I do believe the reporting that they wanted Max Fried. They want Corbin Burns. They want to be aggressive this offseason until push comes to shove and they need to hand out an extra year. Or push comes to shove and they need to hand out a little bit more money than years past. Then they're going to get hesitant. They're going to get hesitant. They don't have the killer instinct anymore. Even if they want to make their team better. And I think they do. For the first time in 5 years. They're not going to be able to get it done. Skaz, if I could, earlier today, Craig Breslow, and this is Craig Breslow 1, sitting down with Tom Caron. This comment gave me pause, and it said, I don't quite know if they have the mentality to get a deal done. When push comes to shove, Tom Caron asked Craig Breslow, hey, so you were, basically $700 million in on Juan Soto. Do you just reallocate that money now? Is that how it works? Listen to the hesitation in Breslow's voice.
I know you never put all the eggs in one basket, right? No team does. But I think to fans, they think, well, if you're going to spend X on one player and that player doesn't get signed, you just take X and reallocate it elsewhere. Is it that simple?
I'm not sure it's quite that simple. We want to make sure that each decision kind of stands on its own, right? And, this was, a unique opportunity to acquire, a generational talent. It doesn't change the overarching goal, which is to create the most competitive team we possibly can, one that is capable of winning the division. I think we've been outspoken about that. We maintain that position. But we have to make sure that each decision makes sense.
The hesitation. We have to make sure that every decision kind of makes sense. And, not necessarily. We don't take that money and then apply it here. Dude, you're not going to get it done with that attitude. It's not the way baseball free agency works. You need to get uncomfortable. You need to be willing to go beyond other teams who have the same resources or maybe even more resources than you do have. That's the type of attitude that's going to cost the Red Sox players. I also think we now know where they're going. Corbin Burns is still out there. If you sign Corbin Burns, it's a different conversation. I have no reason to believe, based on the way the Red Sox approached the Max Fried thing, that they're going to get Corbin Burns right now. Giants probably going to be interested in him. Blue Jays are sniffing around all over the place. That's the last big pitcher out there. Two big guys, Fried, Burns. One of them's already gone. The Yankees got their shopping done. They missed out on Soto, and they pivoted, and they got uncomfortable, and they went, you would argue, too far maybe for Max Fried, but it doesn't matter because they've got Fried and Garrett Cole at the top of that rotation next year. Are they going to be complaining about that? Not one bit. Here's what the Red Sox are going to do. They're going to say the starting pitching market is too expensive. We don't want to give 8 years for somebody. We don't want to pay somebody $200 million. So what we're going to do is we're going to trade for one. Craig Breslow, also with Tom Caron. This one might be a little bit harder to hear, but this is what they're going to do. They are going to pivot to the trade market because they don't want to compete at the top of the market for free agent pitching. Skaz, if we could, I believe that's Breslow number 2 with TC.
We always, in this position, try to balance the short term and the long term, but I think we have strongly signaled, and we don't intend to change, that we're going to be prioritizing the short term. We've asked a ton of our fans in terms of patience and tolerating finishes well below where the Boston Red Sox should be, and so it's time to deliver, and that may mean taking a bite out of the future in order to prioritize wins in the short term.
How different is that from a year ago? The young players have matriculated another year. Now you're talking about kind of finishing pieces to an extent.
Yeah, I think this is where, from kind of an organizational building perspective, you want to be. You want to look at your team and say, we've got young, controllable talent in the big leagues. We've got a really exciting wave behind them, and now we're thinking about what are the deficiencies that we need to, to go out and acquire in order to complement this group.
Don't get me wrong. I am all for trading prospects for pitchers, which to me, that's how I read that answer from Craig Breslow. He says, we're willing to take a bite out of the long term for the short term. We've asked too much of our fans. And I do think there has been that change in the Red Sox organization, in the Red Sox front office. I do think they want to improve the team for 2025, which they haven't been interested in the last 5 years. They have not been interested in that at all. So there has been that change. But again, when push comes to shove, they're not going to be willing to pay on the open market what it takes to improve your team in the short term. So their approach and their preferred approach in this is going to be, let's make a trade. Let's make a trade. So, listen, they should make a trade. They've got too many left-handed hitting prospects. They've got too many left-handed hitters at the big league level. It's obvious. Make a trade. Tristan Casas, bye-bye. See you later. Get me a starting pitcher. Marcelo Meyer, bye-bye. See you later. Get me a starting pitcher. You can do that, and I'm on board with it. But let's start paying attention as to why they prefer that approach. Because once again, with Max Fried, you found out they're not willing to go as far as they need to go. So they're going to be a better baseball team this year. I guarantee you that. I'm willing to make that guarantee. December 10th, 6:17 p.m. The Red Sox are going to be a better baseball team next year because I do think they're going to make a trade for a starting pitcher. But could they be even better if they signed Corbin Burns and traded for Garrett Crochet? They're going to do one of those things. And I'm going to guarantee you right now it's not going to be signing the player. We found that out right now with Max Fried. They're not willing to go as far as they need to go. So they'll take the cheaper option. They'll get Garrett Crochet for 2 years. They'll trade some prospects, and you'll be better. But you won't be as good as you could be because you're not willing to go as far as you possibly can go. And that should upset you as a Red Sox fan. 617-779-0985. 2 open phone lines right now. Grab them. Also reporting tonight on a division in the Red Sox front office about Alex Bregman. We can get into that. We'll start Red Sox before we get into Belichick, before we get into the Bruins tonight, because stuff at the winter meetings starting to cook here and not in the Red Sox favor. It's McCarthy in for Joe Murray.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Forward, so there's a lot of ways to accomplish what we are set to do. And we've been talking about winning the division, right, and making it into playoffs. And there's different avenues, different ways, and we can attack them, and and hopefully we can execute.
Well, you better move on to plan A3 there, AC, buddy. Red Sox lose out on Max Fried to the Yankees, and more reporting coming out in the last few minutes that the Red Sox were involved in this, but weren't close. Stop me if you've heard that one before. The Red Sox were involved and weren't close. Chris Cotillo, Mass Live, reporting just a few minutes ago, writing, in part. He also had this ready to go real fast, by the way. This is like a full article here on Max Fried. Good job by Cotillo. That or he knew this was coming down. The Red Sox made a serious run at Fried, Cotillo writes, according to a source, but the Yankees' bid was described as, quote, significantly ahead, unquote, of what Boston offered. It's the same BS. It's the same thing over and over and over again with this team. Well, they were interested, but turns out he goes significantly ahead. The winning bid was significantly ahead of where the Red Sox were. Now we get the pivot on this. Chris Cotillo writing, it's unclear if Boston preferred Fried to fellow top free agent Corbin Burnes, who remains unsigned. In any case, as of Tuesday afternoon, the Red Sox were readying an offer for Burnes, according to a source with knowledge of the talks. Burnes, who's also been linked to Toronto, San Francisco, and other clubs, could sign rather quickly with Fried off the board. I mean, it's put up or shut up time for these guys. You want to say you're interested in making your team better? Go out and sign Corbin Burnes now, tonight. Don't let anybody else get involved in this. Be aggressive. Again, I think there's been a mindset shift in the Red Sox organization that they actually do want to win more baseball games in 2025. I do believe them on that. I mean, I do believe they are in on these guys more than they've been recently, but they don't know how to close the deal because they're not willing to go far enough to close the deal. It's plain and simple. So there you go. Max Fried off the board. That was a quick pivot by the Yankees. They were willing to go to 8 years on Fried, and they get better. And the Red Sox, who needed Max Fried more than the New York Yankees, didn't get him. Better get Corbin Burnes. It's put up or shut up time. You better get Corbin Burnes. To you, 617-779-0985. Martin in Texas up first tonight. Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray. Hey, Martin.
Hey, Matt. I just wanted to say that if they don't get Burnes, I feel like Seattle or the White Sox for Crochet kind of have the Red Sox, almost at gunpoint saying, give us all you got. And they won't want to give up what they're going to ask for once they have them to that point. So it's kind of like Burnes is almost like a make or break of the offseason already, and it just started.
Yeah, great point, Martin. The Red Sox are already signaling that they would prefer to trade for a starting pitcher because the starting pitcher is going to be cheaper to trade for. I mean, you'll have to give up prospects to do it, and it will be a heavy price to pay. But they've got so many, they've got a surplus, they might as well. But they'd probably rather trade for a Garrett Crochet than not extend him, then keep him for 2 years and then see what happens after that. They probably prefer that route to giving Corbin Burnes 8 years and $200 million. And they're already signaling that to baseball. So you're right. And by the way, it feels like, the Mariners played real hard to get with their pitchers. Kirby and Gilbert are the two guys you want, and they're offering Brian Wu instead. So it feels like they're playing really hard to get. You know why? Because they know the Red Sox need to make a trade. Because they know the Red Sox are at least serious enough about trying to win more baseball games next year, but how do you go about doing that? And if you're not willing to pay what it takes on the open market, and they proved once again with Max Fried that they're not willing to do that, then you got to hand over an extra prospect. You got to make something happen, which again, I'm willing to do all of. I don't care what it costs you. I don't care if it costs you Tristan Casas and Kyle Teal to trade for a pitcher. You got to do it. I don't want to lose 81 games from here to eternity, because if you don't get a pitcher, that's what's going to happen. If you don't get two pitchers, that's what's going to happen. But you've put yourself in this position. You have put yourself in a corner again and again and again. Because in the end, people don't think you're serious. Red Sox fans don't think you're serious. I don't think you're serious. Why would the Seattle Mariners think you're serious? Why would the Chicago White Sox of all teams, think you're serious? You might say you want to try to do better. You might be committed to that. But when it truly comes down to it, push comes to shove, you going to hand over an extra year? Doesn't look like it. Not based on Max Fried, at least. This one matters, folks. This is not Juan Soto, which was a pipe dream to begin with. This offseason will be made or broken by pitching. And you just missed out on the best guy available. That's not acceptable. That should not be acceptable to you. When it's obvious you were in a two-team race, Red Sox, Yankees, and the reports have come out before the signing and now after the signing, and indicating it was basically that. And turns out you weren't close to the Yankees. It's not good. Greg in Bellingham. Hey, Greg.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
I had seen a few things about Jared Jones from Pittsburgh coming for a possible trade for a bat. Pittsburgh needs hitting.
Yep.
But I haven't heard anything of it anywhere on here.
Yeah, no, I know Merloni's talked about, some of the Pittsburgh arms, which, again, you want to make a trade? You want to trade a hitter for a pitcher? Yes, I'm all for it. You've been needing to do this for 3 years. Now you're finally doing it, and everybody knows you need to do it, so you're going to be held hostage in a trade negotiation. That's fine. I don't care what you have to give. You need to get a pitcher. You want to make a trade with Pittsburgh? Fine. Make a trade with Pittsburgh for Jared Jones. Make a trade with the White Sox for Garrett Crochet, who I've got some concerns about, but you got to do it. Plain and simple, you have to do it. You want to win baseball games? You need pitching. They don't have pitching. You're going to have to overpay for it. You want to make a trade with Seattle? Fine. Are you going to be willing to pay that price? The answer still is no. As we sit here tonight, the answer still is no. It should make you just infuriated as a Red Sox fan. They're at it again. They're back on their BS again. 617-779-0985. You better sign Corbin Burns. That's all I'll say. Quick update. We also have news on Alex Bregman, and now a divide in the Red Sox front office over Alex Bregman, because it feels like the offseason's already starting to spiral out of control. This is a good feeling. We're basically 2 days into the offseason, and here we go again with the Red Sox. It's unbelievable. Even I'm surprised by this. And you know me and how I feel about the Red Sox. Even I'm surprised. Quick update, then right back with you.
Sports Hub headlines.
All right, the news in baseball tonight. Yankees signing Max Fried, 8 years, $218 million. Bob Nightingale reporting the Yankees beat out the Red Sox in the bidding. Chris
He's been in winning teams, right, his whole career. Good defender. Offensively, he's really good, and he's a guy that a lot of people are talking about, right? And I do believe he can impact a big league team, a championship caliber team. He's that type of player.
He's talking about the willingness to move to second. How do you think he would kind of work there?
He should be okay. Yeah, we actually had that conversation in 17 when I was with the Astros. We made some adjustments at third base, kind of like where he was playing. He was feeling uncomfortable. At the end, it paid off for him, right? He's a Gold Glove defender at third. But I always envisioned him like playing in the middle of the diamond and those were conversations in 17. So he can adjust, and he has a baseball IQ to do that. People might think the double play might be an issue. I don't believe so, but I think he can do whatever.
That was Alex Cora yesterday. Definitely making some headlines with how effusive in his praise of Alex Bregman he was. And there was a lot of sense yesterday that this was going to be a big pursuit from the Red Sox, that they're in on Alex Bregman. Some of that reporting continues today, and it really feels like that was going to be one of the pivots away from Juan Soto. Max Fried, who you missed out on. Now they're pivoting away from Max Fried to go for Corbin Burns, who's the big pitcher remaining, and I'm sure the Red Sox won't be competitive compared to what other teams are willing to offer. But Alex Bregman as well makes sense in a lot of ways. Red Sox need help in the infield. They need somebody who can field a ground ball. It's been a problem they've had. Bregman can certainly do that. He's a right-handed hitter. He matches at Fenway Park. There's a lot to like. There's some stuff to dislike, but there's a lot to like. I am pro Alex Bregman for reasons that I will explain here shortly. James Scaramazino, you are anti Alex Bregman. Is that my understanding?
I would say that that's pretty accurate. We've been sold that the infield is the strength of this team coming up right through the minors. Mm-hmm. We want to sign a 30-year-old guy to play second base. That's going to be our big offseason splash.
Yep. Be nice to sign somebody, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm really excited about signing a 30-year-old second baseman that's one of Alex Cora's buddies. He would fit right in. He's at his best when he's cheating, which I know is something that Alex Bregman and Alex Cora have in common. And I find the Sam Kennedy aspect of it really interesting. This is a guy who I believe you would know better than I, but has said that he does not want to be involved in some of the baseball ops. He will leave that up to baseball ops people. Mm-hmm. Is that what Sam Kennedy said?
Yeah, I think so. And now we find out that Sam Kennedy might be involved in the Alex Bregman thing.
So Sam Kennedy and Alex Cora want Alex Bregman. I would say Alex Cora is biased in wanting Alex Bregman. I would also say that we crushed Chaim Bloom for being a yes man and doing whatever Sam Kennedy and John Henry want him to do. And now here's a guy, a 30-year-old second baseman, where the GM, a guy you hired, Craig Breslow, is saying, no, I'm not sure I really want to spend on a 30-year-old second baseman. And Sam Kennedy is saying, well, Alex Cora wants him. So who's in charge of the baseball team would be my question. Who's making these decisions? Because it doesn't sound like anybody knows.
So this gets into a report that Sean McAdam had a few minutes ago, and I read in part. Boston's pursuit of Bregman, according to an industry source, is somewhat complicated by some internal disagreement over Bregman. While manager Alex Cora and team president Sam Kennedy are known to be big proponents of Bregman, the source said some members of the baseball operations staff, including Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow, are more circumspect when it comes to the player. It's unknown why Breslow and others are less enthusiastic about Bregman, though it's logical to believe it has something to do with the dip in his offensive production in recent years. From 2018 to 2022, Bregman averaged an OPS of .891. But over the last two seasons, his OPS has declined, with an .804 figure in 2023, followed by a .768 OPS in 2024. This is why you don't want him, Skaz. He has gotten worse at the plate, and to your point, the Red Sox have prospects coming up through the minor league system who play the infield, Marcelo Meyer and Christian Campbell, most notably. Here's why I'm in favor of it, before we get to the bigger picture story. You're going to have to trade one of those guys for a pitcher. We now know, right? You're probably not going to spend at the top of the market with pitching, so somebody like Marcelo Meyer needs to go for a pitcher. You need a right-handed hitter. You need a right-handed hitter now. You need somebody who can improve this team now in 2025 Alex Bregman does that. You can bring him in to play second base. You can also have him play third base if you eventually get smart to the fact that Rafael Devers can't play third base. I don't know whether Campbell's going to play infield or outfield. He might be a second baseman. He might be a left fielder. He might be a center fielder. I don't know. I don't know if Marcelo Meyer can stay healthy. I don't know if Trevor Story can stay healthy. Bregman gives you options. You can play him at second. You can play him at third. Gives you flexibility with Rafaela, who you can start in center field. You can have him play second. You can then have Bregman go to third base at the end of games and take Devers' glove out of the game in games you're leading. It makes you a better baseball team. And it makes you a better baseball team in the short term, which matters. I'm tired of hearing about the long term. But in the end, you're probably not going to land anybody if you don't do two things. One, get serious about money and years, which when push comes to shove, we now know, again, the Red Sox couldn't get serious about because they weren't willing to overpay for Max Fried, and the Yankees were, so they didn't get the player. And number two, you're probably not going to land anybody if you have internal disagreements about the best course of action. Why is it that the Red Sox always have these internal disagreements? Cora versus Bloom. It's a big issue for 2 years here. It hurt the organization. We can't get the general manager we want because nobody wants to come here because the organization's dysfunctional and they don't believe in the ownership. So you get Craig Breslow, who's the 11th choice on your list, and now Breslow is at odds with Cora and Sam Kennedy over Alex Bregman. This is a mess. It's a complete and total mess, and it's an embarrassment. The Red Sox should be embarrassed. They should be ashamed. And in the end, it's going to hurt the on-field product because you're not going to get the right deals done. And you're not going to get the right players in here. Bregman, to me, is a really good player for the Red Sox in 2025. He fits. He rakes at Fenway. He's a right-handed hitter. He can field a ground ball at second base or third base. You need all of those things. Go get him. But the nerds don't want him because they don't like the way things are trending. He makes you better now. Improve the team. Max Fried would be your ace. He is the best pitcher available. Yes, you don't want to pay him when he's 39 years old. Nobody wants to pay these guys when they're 39 years old. We get that. But you're never going to improve your team in the short term if you don't take a long-term hit. Get used to it. It's the way baseball works. And you're never going to get any of these guys if you aren't willing to pay. You can't win the value on every deal. And they're trying the same old BS again this offseason. Damn it. It sucks. Jake in Norwood. Hey, Jake.
Hey, man. How you doing?
What's up?
Just wanted to touch on the Max Fried thing. You were basically touching on it just as I was listening there. At some point, you just have to take a deal that you don't think is a good deal. I see people on Twitter tweeting about how Fried's had injury history and he's 30 years old and it's an 8-year deal. But at some point, you just have to take a deal that you don't like. If the player's good enough, just do it. That's really all I got.
Yeah, Jake, I couldn't agree more. And the same thing's going to happen on the trade market, too. You're going to get there and you're going to say, wait, you're asking for this? Oh, wow, we can't do that. That's too much. Great. You want to go 81 and 81 from here until forever because you're not willing to lose a deal? That's what it all comes down to. There's the money aspect of it. They're not willing to lose on the money. They're not willing to lose on the years, and they're not willing to lose on the value. Great. Fantastic. It's a great way to build a mediocre baseball team, which is exactly what they've done. Matt in Manchester. Hey, Matt.
Hey, you kind of hit what I was gonna say to you, but I'll try to keep this quick. If you had a sit-down conversation right now with Craig Breslow and asked him a 5-year plan, what do you think the first World Series he would plan? And then second thing I want to talk about is, you're the Boston Red Sox. Why is money even a thing? You look at these, the Yankees were a mediocre season. They went out and they traded for Soto. They traded their best prospect. Hypothetically, what if the Red Sox last year, would you be mad right now if the Red Sox last year went out and traded Roman Anthony and we'll say Marcelo Meyer for Juan Soto? They got to the World Series and lost. Would you be mad? Because I wouldn't. I mean, why are we planning on these prospects? Like, they're all ifs. You're the Boston Red Sox. You're not going to sign them anyway. You've already proven that. So once they become great and then they want to get paid, you don't pay them anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be an easier pill to swallow if you trade for Juan Soto and then he departs and you say, oh, Jesus, we just gave up Michael King. That sucks. Oh, wait, let's just go out and sign Max Fried. Like, I'm not still feeling 100% great about that, but it's better than the position the Red Sox are in now. And they wouldn't have had to give up both Anthony and Meyer. Although maybe they would have, because they haven't developed a pitcher in years. They don't have any pitching to give up. Like, it's not that hard to figure out, guys. Pitching. If you can't develop it, and the Red Sox tried for years not to develop it, so they're still, paying the price for Chaim Bloom's lack of interest in pitching. But you either need to trade for it and give up a boatload for it, or pay a guy too much for way too long, which is what the Yankees just did with Max Fried. Yes, 8 years is too much. It's too much. $218 million is too much for that guy, as good as he is. And I freaking love the guy. I love watching him pitch. But it's too much. Yeah, of course. In a reasonable world. This is baseball. This is not a reasonable world. Juan Soto just got $765 million. Nay, $805 million. There's nothing reasonable about this. You have to be willing to be unreasonable. Don't bring logic and reason to this discussion. This is baseball. It's not the way it works. One open phone line. Grab it. We continue. It's McCarthy in for Joe Murray.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub. Felger and Maz are just his pregame.
They've been getting wholesale deals for years.
It's Joe Murray on the Sports Hall.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not doing well. How could I be? Skaz, how could I be doing well? Max Fried to the Yankees. Red Sox not having a good offseason so far. How could I be doing well? I do still legitimately care about this. This isn't good. But it's not as bad as our coworker and dear friend, our precious Tyler Milliken, who apparently has gone on a tweet storm, and this is, if you think I'm not having a good night, there's only one person not having a worse night than me, and that's our guy Milliken. What's he saying, Skaz? How's he doing?
Our poor boy, sweet innocent boy, Tyler Milliken. Saw him about 2 hours ago. He was in the parking lot for some reason still.
Real quick, why was he still here? His show ends at 2 o'clock.
Your guess is as good as mine.
He has not a good commute, too. I'm going to tell you right now.
I don't know if he was waiting traffic out or to leave right at 5 o'clock. That doesn't seem like the best of ideas, but yes.
Real quick, that does feel like a Tyler Milliken move to avoid traffic.
Waiting until 5 p.m.
Yes. Just assuming it's going to be better because it's 3 hours after I'm done with work, so it's definitely going to be better. Feels like a Milliken move.
Yes, and he was not doing well then when I spoke to him. Said the panic was starting to set in, and over the last 15 to 20 minutes on Twitter, Tyler has really started to crack. We'll start here. Someone tweeted at Milliken and said, "You'll be back to tweeting about prospects in a week." He responded, "Holy S, I like prospects. Who gives a damn? You can do both. That's what the best organizations do. You can develop a strong farm system and spend money. Both are possible. How dense can you be?"
So we have Milliken attacking people on Twitter.
Angry
and
Milliken.
saying, and I quote, "Who gives a damn about prospects?" That's what the Red Sox have done to this man. They have broken him finally. Tyler Milliken says, "Who gives a damn about prospects?"
There's more.
Literally, Jeremy Connolly, who's our Bruins executive producer, stopped dead in the hallway here. You should have seen the look on his face when he heard Milliken saying that.
Yeah, it's a shocking development. There's more for Milliken, though. 8 minutes ago, front office and manager aren't on the same page. 2/3 of Snell, Fried, and Burns are off the board. I'm just sitting here scrolling Twitter with what appears to be a sad picture of Tristan Casas.
Who, by the way, that's the only thing they're going to do. They're going to trade Tristan Casas this offseason because he's a pain in the ass and they don't want to deal with him. Also because they probably don't want to pay him in 4 years.
And then 10 minutes, so 2 minutes after his tweet before that, 10 minutes ago, he tweeted, "Well, we're here," quote tweeting himself from 4 hours ago, in which he said, "You think the noise is loud right now for the Red Sox? If Max Fried lands elsewhere, it will be nothing but pure panic in the streets." In parentheses, "feels like we're already close." And he said, "I can't do this anymore. I hate panicking." So our sweet innocent boy, Tyler Milliken, is really going through it on this Tuesday night.
Can you do me a favor? Can you give him a call? Wellness check? I don't know. I mean, see if he wants to come on the air, but like just to see if he's okay. I'm concerned about him.
I will reach out.
When Milliken says, "Who gives a damn about prospects?" The world has crumbled. Your God is a lie. Everything, it's over. That's it. It's done. That's how bad it's gotten. Tom Caron tweeting, too, from Dallas. "It just got chilly in Dallas." Quote tweeting the Max Fried to the New York Yankees signing. That's not good when TC and Milliken are starting to panic. TC and Milliken are the people I go to talk me off the ledge. That's not good. All right, one open phone line. Grab it. You want to keep talking Red Sox? I see you on the line. We'll keep doing it. I obey the people. I talk about what you want to talk about. Not a good night. It all comes down to Corbin Burns now. That's it. That's the offseason. Corbin Burns or else. Quick update, no commercials. Right back with you. It's McCarthy in for Joe Murray.
WBZ-FM and HD Boston. Patriots! From the opening kickoff to the final play.
Touchdown!
Your home of the pass. 98.5. The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
Max Fried to the New York Yankees. 8 years, $218 million. Chris Cotillo reporting that the Red Sox were interested. but they were significantly behind, or the Yankees' bid was described as, quote, significantly ahead of what Boston offered. Cotillo now reporting that the Red Sox plan to put forward an offer to top free agent Corbin Burns, and they were readying an offer for him this afternoon. Elsewhere, the Blue Jays getting better, acquiring second baseman Andres Jimenez from the Cleveland Guardians, three-time Gold Glove winner at second base. Bruins in action tonight. They take on the Winnipeg Jets. A 7:30 pregame with RJ and Bob coming your way here on the Sports Hub. Multiple reports today, conflicting reports on Bill Belichick and his future with the University of North Carolina. One report saying he's agreed to become the head coach at the University of North Carolina. That from The Guardian. However, Jordan Schultz saying that has not happened yet, per multiple sources. Patriots releasing wide receiver KJ Osborne. They have activated Cole Strange from the PUP list. They've also signed kicker John Parker Romo to the practice squad. Celtics off until Thursday when they take on the Pistons. Headlines are brought to you by Eastern Massachusetts leader in drain cleaning and pipelining. Drains by James. Slow drain, clog drain. Need to contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. I'm Matt McCarthy. I'm Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update during Bruins pregame.
Listen to it, laugh at it, get mad at it, agree with it, argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
The militant coping has gotten even worse. 5 seconds ago, he now starts tweeting about Michael Fulmer starting for the Red Sox if he makes it through the Rule 5 draft. This is what we've been reduced to. Even I'm surprised by it. And you know me, I don't generally believe in the Red Sox, but this is not good. It's not good. I'm feeling worse about it as the show goes on. Got to sign Corbin Burns. It's that simple. That's the move. That's it. That's the last one. The last big fish out there. You've missed on Snell. You've missed on Fried. Apparently significantly, according to Cotillo. Burns or bust, baby. Burns or bust. Butch in Bridgewater. Hey, Butch.
How you doing?
What's up, Butch?
Hey, instead of like 8 years, what if they go like 6 years and 2 1/4? So when their prospects come up, just shorten the years and give them more money.
Guys want years. It's not going to work. Like you can't act like you have leverage in this spot. And I think the Red Sox go into these off seasons and go into trades acting like they're somehow going to get a fair deal. You don't get a fair deal. It's baseball. Shorten the years. Guys don't want that. Max Fried doesn't want to be signed until he's 37. He wants to be signed until he's 39. I mean, maybe one guy wants that. Maybe you're able to make it happen, but just stop acting like you're going to get a good deal or get any type of discount somewhere or get anything that you want. The only thing that you can get that you want is the player. And the Red Sox never get the player because they work under the assumption that they're somehow going to be able to get something that they want in the deal, or they're not going to have to pony up as much money or as many years or as many prospects in a trade. Same thing's going to happen on the trade market. I tell you that right now. Same thing is going to happen. They're going to go into a trade, and the White Sox, as they have been asking for Marcelo Meyer for Garrett Crochet, and you say, what? We can't do that. Well, then you're not going to get the pitcher. It's that simple. This is the way it works. Like, what type of attitude do you have? Seriously. Oh, my God. We found him. On the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline, the great Tyler Milliken. Milliken, I'm not doing well. How are you?
Oh, I'm dead inside.
Me too.
Fully dead inside.
This is bad, man. The Fried thing was bad. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah, I think you kind of look at that situation where you go back to the initial, Jeff Passan preview column, saying Max Fried is everything the Red Sox are kind of looking for here. You go to the Bob Nightingale article from a couple weeks back. Hey, the Red Sox, they want 2 out of 3 of the top starting pitchers in the market, Burns, Fried, Snell, and they really want 2 of the lefties. That's really the focus. Now you kind of sit here with Max Fried, and yeah, the contracts are expensive. $218 million over 8 years. Did I think Max Fried was going to get 8 years? No. I think we all knew at this point he was going to go get $200 million. He was trying to clear David Price. He wanted to have the biggest contract for a left-handed starter ever. But now you kind of sit back here, and Blake Snell moved really quickly. I think quicker than they even imagined there, and he didn't have the QO attached. You've now missed out on him. You missed out on Max Fried. So what's left? You have Corbin Burns, and really an opportunity where if you don't get him, every other team, whether it's Garrett Crochet, you want to talk Dylan Cease, whoever it is, they are going to bend you over. They realize how desperate you are at this point in time. It's a terrifying spot to be in because you have money to spend. There were 3 arms at the top. So far, you swung and missed on 2 of them, and it doesn't seem you were all that close. Because clearly your offer wasn't even where the Yankees' offer was.
How have we gotten here? Like, is it just as simple as the Red Sox refuse to pay, or like, what is the attitude? What is the mentality in that front office? You say they enter this offseason, and it sounds like you and I are on the same table on this. Like, they are interested in improving this team. But it feels like they don't have any idea what it ultimately costs to do it. Like, how have we gotten here? What is the problem? What's their problem?
I think there's a lack of just an entire plan inside the front office. You get, within the same 10 minutes of Max Fried signing with New York, you hear, Craig Breslow and Alex Cora aren't on the same page when it comes to Alex Bregman. All this talk, all this scene setting you had, whether, the end of the year press conference or even that moment with Sam Kennedy, they were portraying this kind of image. We were all on the same page. We were all striving towards the same thing. Okay, great. We all know you wanted Juan Soto. Everybody who had the money was going to be in on Juan Soto. These very few big market teams, they were willing to extend and try whatever it was to get that guy. Who doesn't want the 26-year-old generational talent? But what happens afterwards? What was always the pivot plan? Alex Cora yesterday goes A1, A2, A3. We got all these different plans. Cool, you got these different plans, but now we realize you guys aren't even on the same page. You guys aren't on the same page in terms of how willing you're to, overextend and push for these guys. How desperate are you to really go and try to win? And clearly they are drawing the lines at certain points, and it's fair to draw it at certain points, but it doesn't seem like they have a set plan, a set guy, a set group of guys that, hey, we are going to do whatever we can to get this deal done, especially considering the last couple of years where we haven't overextended. Do you think there would be a tax that came along with that? They're not willing to pay it clearly right now, unless they are for Corbin Burns. That would be a game changer, but you listen around, it seems like Corbin Burns wants to be on the West Coast. He wants to be with the Giants. He wants to be closer to home. Unless you're going to throw all the money on the table there, what's the next thing that happens?
Yeah, I think you just hit on it, is they're not willing to go as far as they need to go. They set these parameters, they set, the limits, and they're not willing to go beyond the limits. And, I mean, Tyler, you know it better than anybody else. I mean, the way it works in baseball, if you have a limit on a player, that means you're not getting the player because somebody
Andrew
else...
Andrew Friedman said, if you're going to be, rational on every free agent, you're going to finish third on every free agent. That was what he always said, and that's where the Red Sox are right now. They're consistently the team you found out, hey, they pushed a lot towards the end. They didn't have the highest offer on the table, but they were there. It's like, how many times can you finish third or fourth before you get fed up with it, before you say, screw it, we're the Boston Red Sox, we're getting the player, we're getting the deal done? When do you finally hit that point? And somehow the fans, everyone here is sitting here saying, I don't know how many more times I can feel embarrassed or feel like we're not the Boston Red Sox. And yet inside, they're okay taking the beating. They know what's going to come afterwards. And it feels like you have one real shot on the pitching front to change that, unless you're willing to unload like crazy prospect-wise. But even then, it feels like a mismanagement of assets to have this kind of money, to have these starting pitchers on the market, and you couldn't ink one of the top big ones.
It's all about Burns at this point, right? Like if they don't land Burns, Milliken, to your point, it puts them in a brutal spot on the trade market where everybody knows you have to do something. You're going to give up even more than you would have in the first place. Like I really do think it's Burns or bust for the offseason. If they don't get Corbin Burns, it sets the entire offseason up for failure, complete and total failure, and they've allowed themselves to be pushed back into this corner. Is that too strong? Is that too sports talk radio-y for me to say it's all about Burns?
I don't think it's crazy. Are there ways to assemble this team? Sure, you could trade for Garrett Crochet and then maybe go sign a Walker Buehler and go about it that route. But, man, you're just making things a lot harder for yourself because we've already heard they've drawn certain lines when it comes to a Garrett Crochet, right? Like, they don't want to include Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell. I would not do that either. I'm not part of that club. But will they include Marcelo Meyer to get that deal done? Like, you talk Dylan Cease. You want to trade for Dylan Cease, who has 1 year left and he's a Scott Boras guy? We just watched what happened with Corbin Burns. You're telling me you're going to sit out here and, make all these ridiculous pitches to Dylan Cease to get him to accept a contract? Scott Boras is going to laugh in your face. Corbin Burns might get close to $300 million we're talking right now. Why the hell would Dylan Cease sign that extension? And you're going to give up the prospects to do that. You're basically playing the Juan Soto game that everyone's laughing at the Yankees for right now.
All right, Milliken, I'll let you go on that. I would say enjoy your night, but I know you won't.
Just pain, McCarthy, just pain.
That's all I feel. Thanks, Milliken. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But everything he just said there. And I've got Tyler Milliken out there on Twitter saying, who gives a damn about your prospects? The point he just made, though, on Dylan Cease, too, it's like, you're going to be put in a position where if you want to improve the team for 2025, and I do think they do, right? I mean, I think they're serious about that. They're serious about improving the team for 2025. Well, now you're putting yourself in a position where you have to trade for Dylan Cease when he's got 1 year left, or you have to trade for Garrett Crochet when he's got 2 years left, and maybe you don't want to pay those guys. So you're giving up prospects for a year or two, which, by the way, I would still do. Make no mistake about it. You want to trade Marcelo Meyer for Garrett Crochet, who I have my concerns about. You want to do that? Go for it. Hoarding additional left-handed hitting prospects will not improve your future at all. Even if it is only for 2 years. I would trade at this point 6 years of Marcelo Meyer for 2 years of Garrett Crochet. I would even do it for 1 year of Dylan Cease. You might say, McCarthy, that's crazy. Why would you do that? Because Marcelo Meyer isn't going to make a difference. You have too many hitters. You have too many left-handed hitters. You can put the best lineup of left-handed hitters out there all you want, from Anthony to Meyer, to Teal, to Casas, to Duran, to Dever. You're going to go 81 and 81 forever if you don't get a pitcher. It's not that hard to figure out, yet they can't figure it out. I think that's the sentiment of our room, and we recognize we're trying to improve our team. This can't be about doing what feels particularly comfortable." Unquote. To which I say, I don't believe you. You can say that all you want, but go ahead, try and get uncomfortable. Give it a shot, see how it feels. Oh wait, 8 years for Max Fried? Oh boy, that's a little uncomfortable. About $218 million. Whoa. That goes beyond uncomfort. That's pain. You know what I feel as a Red Sox fan? Pain. This is what you're making me feel, Craig Breslow. This is what you're making me feel, Boston Red Sox. Pain. It's a pain that never ends. It goes on and on. You hurt me. Brent in Virginia. Don't hurt me, Brent, please.
Yeah, look, nobody's asking the Sox to 4 or 5 guys on the roster like we got used to back in the day. It's really you're asking for 1 or 2 guys to supplement the holes. And Max Fried and Teoscar Hernandez fill the 2 biggest holes, which is an ace who happens to be left-handed that you need to balance out the rotation and a righty that can slug. And you can't be surprised by the numbers that are going to come in on him because guess what? That's what it takes to get the top-end talent. And they keep getting outbid on these guys year after year. It's getting to the point where then you're going to say, all right, 2 weeks ago they were literally floating out that they were going to get 2 of the 3 pitchers on the market. Well, here we're left with 1. Well, everyone knows when it's down to 1, then everyone remaining is going to be bidding high on him as well, and you're not going to be able to do it. Or if you bid on Snell, that was the play actually in the beginning, and bid hit on, then you can go in the trade market from a position of strength to get the second pitcher you needed rather than from a position of weakness. So to me, they've already completely fouled up the entire offseason. And I mean, there's a few ways you can maybe plug holes, but I don't see any way that they can come out of this without taking on, looking worse than it started at the beginning, which was bad.
No doubt, Brent. Yeah, there's some things you can still do. You can sign Nate Eovaldi, who I like. You can sign Walker Buehler, who I like. I mean, I like both of those guys, but I don't like them as your number one. Now, would I feel good about handing those guys the ball in an October playoff game? No doubt, based on their history, based on the way Buehler looked for the Dodgers in October. I mean, yes. So don't get me wrong. There's still things they can do, but this was not what they set out to do. I mean, I really do believe that they set out to try and improve the team significantly. They're just too naive as to what it actually takes to do that. And I don't know why they can't figure this out. You're so right. Like, now that you're down to 1, you are not dealing from a position of strength. Everybody knows the Red Sox need Corbin Burns. So you're going to have to pay a tax on that. Everybody knows if you hit the trade market to get Garrett Crochet or one of the Seattle pitchers or one of the pitchers in Pittsburgh, pick your guy there, whoever you like. I like Gilbert, but pick your guy, all right? You're going to have to pay a tax on that because everybody knows you need to get it done. And they're probably not willing to pay that tax because they're not willing to pay the tax of the open market on Max Fried. Yes, 8 years is insane for a guy. I get that. You're not going to get the player if you don't do that. $218 million, yes, it's too much. You're not going to get the player if you don't do that. Juan Soto just signed for $800 million. For the love of God, this is baseball. You're not going to get the player if you don't do that. They don't get it. They don't get it. It's that simple. Steve in Rhode Island. Hey, Steve.
Hey, how you doing? At this point, I'm more embarrassed for them than angry. It's just that they're the guy that talks up a woman all night, buys her drinks, and somebody swoops in and takes her home. It's just, I just don't know what else to say. I wish they'd smarten up, but I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, they're not going to smarten up. They've got a whole bunch of guys in the room from Yale and Harvard and Princeton and Cornell and Columbia and you name it, right? Whole bunch of guys. Maybe they got a Brown guy here or there, like whatever, Name every Ivy League school you got. They've got them all. They got some small Ivies. They got Amherst. They got Williams. You name it. They got Wesleyan. They got Wesleyan, guys. No doubt about it. They've got Wesleyan, guys. They don't have a lot of smart people, though, because they can't seem to figure out that this is how baseball works. This is how the market works, and they never end up with the player. Funny, for a room of smart guys, they can't seem to wrap their heads around that. It's unbelievable. Dean in Shrewsbury. Hey, Dean, what's up?
Hey, I'm glad they're interested in Corbin Burns, but I don't think they're going to close the deal. I'm interested in Olivia Dunn, but I don't think I'm going to close the deal.
It's that simple. Yep. Who's the closer? Who's the closer over there? Now, you might not say it doesn't matter who your closer is because your owner doesn't want to close. Theo's in Dallas with these guys, and get Theo on the horn with Corbin Burns if you're actually that serious. But I don't think they're that serious. Somebody tweeting at me here a few minutes ago, hey, McCarthy, talk on MLB Network was just that Burns is going to go for $230 to $240 million. They said the San Francisco Giants are the favorite, which, by the way, that's been the buzz. He wants to go out west. And this person says, just blow him out of the water with $300 million. Not that hard. Pay for your mistakes. Yep. That's the way baseball works. You have to pay for your mistakes. And their mistake has been for years. They're not interested in pitching. They're not serious about pitching. They're not developing any pitching. Chaim Bloom, 4 years. 4 years at the helm for Chaim Bloom. He drafted one pitcher in the top 100. This is what you get. You weren't serious about it. Now, all of a sudden, the offseason where you think you want to get serious and you decide you're going to try to be serious, and I've been saying all night, I said all weekend, I do think the Red Sox are in that position. I do think they want to be better. Well, now you have to pay the suck tax. Or you have to pay you didn't sign the first or second guy and there's one guy left and you've got to pay the tax on him. Or, hey, you want to make a trade for Dylan Cease or Garrett Crochet or a guy from the Mariners or a guy from the Pirates? You want to do that? Well, they know you need to make that trade. You need to make that trade more than them. You need to pay the desperation tax. This is the position the Red Sox have put themselves in because they can't figure it out. It's no good. And I'm not happy. And you shouldn't be either. Real quick on the Bruins before we hand things off to RJ and Bob in Winnipeg tonight. Playing good hockey. Fighting back in games. A nice win over Philadelphia over the weekend. The coaching change is